Wait, hold on. Let's check everything. There's like 500 things to do right before you go live. And now with Rumble, there's even more things to do. And I'm not even sure if they're doing it right. So we're giving free content to Rumble, which is owned by a billionaire. So we're really excited about working for billionaires for free. That's what this show's all about. Folks, look at this Government Secrets mug. Isn't it exciting? You can get this if you go to patreon.com government secrets and do the mug tier. Oh, it makes my green tea taste like more truth. That's what it does. But I don't know why all the mugs, I wish they would make one so the logo I could hold it from my right. Like they need to configure this for my microphone stand. We should have put the logo on the other side. And I'll just hold it like this. This is totally normal. This is how people drink. Hey. Oh, isn't that great? Government Secrets mug. Commercials. They always hold the product way too close to their face. Oh, wow. This tastes like CIA operations. So great. Closer to your face. Hold it closer to your face, please. Hold it closer to your face, please. That's the director saying that. I've done commercials, folks. I hosted a game show called Cram where I was talking about this as Rob last night. One of our sponsors was Jimmy Dean Sausages. So I was a vegetarian promoting sausages. It's just... Hollywood really makes you lose your soul. Anyway, speaking of losing souls, let's bring out the soulless wonder himself, Lee.
Can we? Every time I feel like I think I know them all, you mentioned some new game show or something you hosted. Named Cram? How many game shows did you host?
I hosted the two ones I did were Strip Poker and Cram, and then I did a bunch of pilots, which are on. I think there's a Pictionary pilot, which is on YouTube. And oh my God, is it awful? I mean, it is awful. And it is unrecognizable. You'll see me and this is what the producers of that show did. Because I had already done Strip Poker, which they didn't look for regular hosts for Strip Poker. They were looking for comedians, and they told me to be really sarcastic and funny and all that stuff. So this is what the people, when I did the Pictionary pilot, said. Just do what you did for Strip Poker, but without the sarcasm. And I was like,
oh God.
Do you want me to not have dark eyes? Like what else do you need me to do? Like,
you want me to take this shit seriously is what you're telling me.
You're telling me I'm wearing khakis and like a flannel shirt, whatever they had me in. And you're telling me to not be sarcastic when I'm doing Pictionary.
They're like when you say Jimmy Dean sausage is the best sausage I've ever had, can you stop sounding disgusted?
Can you not almost sound like you're vomiting as you're saying Jimmy Dean?
Folks, don't forget to get Jimmy Dean sausage.
This is Cram, which is on, and we had these two big hamster wheels, and they did this deliberately. They had this one show where we had to they knew I was a vegetarian. So there was one episode where there was they had to take pieces of meat and put them on like a type of steak or something and put them on, because we always giving them two activities to do at once. And they were like in the run through, like, oh, we're going to have this. It'll be hilarious. This beef tongue will come out, and Graham, you put it on this thing. And I was like, there's no way I'm doing that. I'm like, there's no way I'm doing that. They're like, you got to. And so when we went live, we didn't shoot live, but when we were recording, we were up there, and I said, just right in the moment, I just thought, and whoever the contestant was, I was like, all right, Steve, grab that piece of tongue and put it up there. We'll show you how that works. And I just had the contestant do it during the explanation of the games. Yeah, I've done over 300 episodes of TV, and now I thought I was going to have all this freedom from big corporate censorship and telling me what I can and cannot say. And here I am. Now I thought, I can say whatever I want on YouTube. I can't. I've been demonetized. I cannot say whatever I want. I cannot talk about whatever. I can, but I'm just going to have to do it for free.
Yep. No, the censorship's getting insane.
It's like
we are the two most censored comedians, I think, in the nation right now.
In the nation.
I know we've talked about this before, but people who are like, well, I saw a list. Someone tweeted out there a list of, they were like, who are the most censored people speaking the truth out there, whatever. List your top 10. I'll start. And the top 10, the only one on the entire list that had ever been censored in any way was Alex Jones. The rest was like Joe Rogan, Dave Chappelle. And I was like, these people have not been censored at all.
At all. They're all millionaires. You can't, if you're censored and that you can't be a millionaire. Like, how have you been censored? People criticized you. They tried to cancel you, but you haven't been censored. If the Joe Rogan show gets demonetized from YouTube, then okay, he can make that claim and boo-hoo.
Right, or deleted from Spotify. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. He has to give back his $100 million from Spotify, and then he'll only have to make
I think they revised that recently, and apparently it was closer to 200 million.
Okay, good. Right. Good. He'll have to give that back. Yeah. And then if that happens to Joe Rogan, he'll just have to eke out a living selling out arenas on the road because of all this censorship. Like, give me a break. If you have millions of followers and they haven't hurt your money at all, you have not been censored. You have not been censored. If they've deplatformed you, that's censorship. If they've demonetized you, that's censorship. But you've been wiped off. RT's been wiped off the face of the earth, and I've been demonetized for 16 going on 17 months. That's censorship.
Yep. So if anybody wants to help this show continue, then please, we just created. So we tried the LiberaPay thing. It did not work. So we just created a Patreon. It has all kinds of bonus content. People apparently wanted the mugs that Graham was drinking out of so casually and so perfectly normally that he drinks out of. So you can get that over on Patreon to keep this show going, because people might know. Graham, could you do it closer to the mug? Closer to the mug, please, Graham. Graham, just a little
closer to the mug.
It also reminds me of, it's not just products. And like, if you watch like old sitcoms or Star Trek, or I always remember it from Star Trek, they would have the whole bridge there, but the three main characters would sit with their heads touching or stand with their heads touching together as they're saying their lines. What's happening, Captain? And it's like, why is your ear against my ear? Like,
yeah. And now they try to like covertly do it because nobody has ads anymore. So now they're just like, oh, I better go text my friend on my brand new iPhone. Like they'll just do that. Like they'll just weave in like, oh God, my boyfriend keeps texting me on my Samsung Galaxy. Just like just punch it into the dialogue. That's my favorite when it's just jammed in there.
But so anyway, folks will notice that we have no spoken ads or anything like that. So Patreon is for the moment could keep this show going. So
yes, and so we're going to do the show today like we always do it, for free for everybody, but then we're going to start after the show's over like a GovSeeks Patreon exclusive after show.
Every episode for the 3 remaining weeks of this show will no, just kidding. Every episode we will do bonus content for Patreon, for the Patreon members at patreon.com/government secrets. But the regular show will stay as it always has been, free. So
yes, regular show will always be free. We're just going to start doing some bonus GovSeeks on Patreon. So, and we just made the Patreon really simple. You can support the show for $5 and every tier gets the bonus content. So you get the bonus content no matter what. If you want to get a mug or a shirt, then that costs a little more. But everybody gets the bonus content on Patreon. But if you do get the mug, you have to take a photo and put it this close to your face and put that on social media.
Like a freeze frame of you getting hit with a mug. Oh.
All right, Lee, do you want to do your first segment or should I?
Either way, man. I'm going to reveal the truth about Cambodia, but
that'll be fun. This will be a fun one. That'll be, I'm sure. So I'll do mine first because I wanted to talk about, this was just, everyone was talking about this recently in the news. Let me bring it up. So we just had May 10th was the last spike of the Transcontinental Railroad. There's a ceremony. There's that famous photo, May 10th, 1869, right? Which was in Promontory. Where was this? In Promontory Summit, Utah, May 10th. So there's that famous photo.
And people need to realize how epic this was. The fact that they were able to cross the entire nation. They only killed, like 10,000 Chinese people, and they got across the whole country. And before that time, to go across the country, it would take you like 6 years, and like 5 of your family members would die, and you'd lose a leg to a wolf, and you'd end up in Canada for a while, and then you'd get to it was a whole thing. Whereas now you could ride the train.
Like there's what was it? The Donners or whatever. I mean, there was cannibalism, like just awful stuff happened. So the Transcontinental Railroad was the construction started in 1863 and ended in 1869 with that famous last spike photo, right? And it was originally as the Pacific Railroad and later as the Overland Route. And it was 1,911 miles of continuous railroad. And so it connected the existing Eastern U.S. rail network of Council Bluffs, Iowa with the Pacific Coast at the Oakland Long Wharf on San Francisco Bay. The rail line was built by 3 private companies over public lands provided by extensive U.S. land grants. Building was financed by both state and U.S. governments subsidy bonds, as well as a company issued mortgage bonds. So,
and of course, stealing all the land from Native Americans. Go ahead.
Well, when all that land, I mean, that's a whole nother government secret. Like that's a whole, how they got the land is a whole nother.
Public land.
Public lands is, yo, bitch, we're taking your land. That's how it became public is. Right. But I just thought, and when I woke up this morning, I went, there's no way they got this done without any sort of corruption. There's no way. I just write this.
That's our new way of finding government secrets to do on the show, is we just think of something grand, quote unquote, that happened in America's past. And then you just go, that plus scandal, or something.
There's just no way. There's no, I just went, I know how capitalism works. There's no way this thing got done by the books. It's impossible. Right. And so literally, I just typed in Transcontinental Railroad scandal. I literally just typed that in. And Lee, wouldn't you know it? Something came up here. It's just
a 10,000 page PDF.
So what I found was the Credit Mobilier scandal. This is a French word. This was a 2-part fraud conducted from 1864 to 1867 by Union Pacific Railroad and the Credit Mobilier of America Construction Company in the building of the eastern portion of the first Transcontinental Railroad. The story was broken by the New York Sun during the 1872 campaign of Ulysses S. Grant. A fraudulent company.
A whole fake company. Nice.
They did the old fake company game. It was so Union Pacific created a fake company and gave it a Frenchy name because it's like, oh, it's Canadian or something. Still that like, oh, it must be better if it's Canadian or something. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
Remember in the 80s when everything was Europe, we thought everything from Europe was better, And
the government officials were probably like, the paperwork's probably in French, so let's not even look into it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just some guy pretending to be beleaguered, like, it's a bunch of Frenchy documents. So I don't know. I'm neck deep in a translator. We'll get to it later. Just guys like that always, when they're running a scale, like a crooked salesman, is always just like, we just need to put a hold on the account. It's not even a deposit. It's really just a freeze. And it's the paper that guys upstairs make me do it. I mean, it's back in your account.
It's the money will be there on Tuesday. You know me. It's just the banks always hold this up every time.
I mean, since 9/11, it's the terrorists. I mean, come on, who's going to use a Buick for a terrorist? But anyway, like you and I can get it done. So
ever since 9/11, they put a lot of stumbling blocks in importing of silly putty. So that's I just can't get it like I used to.
But now these guys,
it's good to know that there were Theranos companies in the 1800s.
Yes, it's just crooked. It's good to know too, because it's also like one of the things I love about this show is, sometimes we think like the view in the old days, everything was above board and everybody was on it, and it's like war, like World War II was a noble and just war. And then, you read Smedley Butler's book and it's like, oh, no, we've been doing crazy wars for profit since the 1800s, like you just.
Yeah. I think a lot of people, and it's kind of what I thought when I started getting into stuff. It's like, I was like, oh, everything was good until a few decades ago. And then we started getting bad. Like, man. It's like, no. It's a long, sordid history of con men running the show.
I mean, it reminds me of one of the first government secrets you ever did was about the two trains smashing into each other they sold tickets to it or whatever. Remember that? Just like
I loved that one, man. What was that? It was this. I can't remember what it was called, but yeah, they just had the guy just had two trains, acquired two old trains. And they sold tickets to see them smash together, and sure enough, they ended up killing people.
Which that blows me away. The two trains running into each other at full speed would cause problems. That I never saw coming. Who saw that coming? And then the fact that the guy, his first thought, I got two trains. I might as well smash them into each other. Like,
you know what people love to watch? A train wreck. So
it's like you live in a high rise and you're like, well, I got a new TV. Might as well throw the old one out the window into traffic. I mean, I don't know what else to do with it.
And sell tickets to it.
Yeah. Sell tickets. Get some idiot to try and catch it, and I'll have to give him an extra $50. And when it cuts his head off, I'll say it was his fault. So yes, this show is great at saying, no. Things have been horrible since the get-go, because there's always been this country was built on capitalism and lies and genocide and slavery and people that want to smash trains into each other.
Check. Yes.
Who do you want to run the country? Oh, somebody who wants to smash trains into each other and steal people's land. So in the same vein of smashing trains into each other, Union Pacific Railroad created a fake company. It was the Credit Mobilier of America Construction Company in the building of the eastern portion. All right. A fraudulent company, Credit Mobilier of America, was created by Union Pacific executives to greatly inflate construction costs. This old game, right?
Yeah, the old construction costs.
Oh boy. It's almost like, what's the new term? It's almost like supply chain issues, right? Now we're
but Graham, when the mafia was running construction companies, that was when it was corrupt. Other than that, above board.
Right. Construction's always been above board. That's why we have fake companies that are supposed to be Canadian that aren't. Though the railroad cost only $50 million to build, Credit Mobilier billed $94 million, and Union Pacific executives pocketed the excess $44 million. Then part of the excess cash and $9 million in discounted stock. They've been running this stock scam.
See, I also used to think that the stock market was somewhat legit. That like people would buy stock and get a little bit of the profit of the company. And it was like this legit thing. It's like from day one, it was just fucking snake oil salesman.
Day one. And if you're some regular Joe that bought 1,000 shares and made a little money, hey, good for you. But it ain't designed for that. If you get screwed over, nobody cares. They're like, we should have known the market. And it's like, oh, that's why the GameStop thing was so brilliant because they used these guys' own scams against them, and then they were complaining about it. But like,
yeah. Well, they proved what the stock market is. It's just, I mean, like it's just hype. It's just there's nothing behind it. It is it's the textbook definition of a Ponzi scheme. I think I did an episode on that. The stock market is like the literal, not like an analogy, like the literal definition of a Ponzi scheme.
Yeah. So here's one of the first Ponzi schemes, buddy. So the part of the excess cash, like I said, was $9 million in discounted stock and used to bribe several Washington politicians for laws, funding, and regulatory rulings favorable to Union Pacific.
There we go. There we go.
I am shocked.
It's just shameworthy because I used to think they were all the politicians were Jimmy Stewart types. They get to town and they just trying to help the average man.
And this really, I love stories that blow up the good old days, like back then things were honorable. Yeah. Rockefeller, all those guys were really honorable dudes.
Carnegie, great.
Yeah. Great guys. Great guys. So the scandal negatively affected the careers of many politicians and nearly bankrupted Union Pacific. Oh, thoughts and prayers. Thoughts and prayers. I
want to trademark the expression farts and prayers. Our farts and prayers are with them, really.
Oh, I have no thoughts nor prayers for either of these people. In the Pacific Railroad Acts of 1864 to 1868, Congress authorized, so it gets better, buddy, authorized and chartered the Union Pacific Railroad and provided $100 million, the equivalent of over $1.6 billion in 2020, in capital investment to complete a transcontinental line west from the Missouri River to the Pacific coast. So good old, they ran a scam, they stole money and got government money to do it. Boy, it almost sounds like Jeff Bezos' filthy fucking cock rocket that he just flew around the planet. Like,
yeah, and it sounds like a lot of the fraud that goes on through the military-industrial complex. It's just similar, but with trains. Instead of tanks, it was trains. I mean, the amount of money that's basically just laundered through our military-industrial complex to make literally tens of thousands of tanks that no one ever used that are sitting in the California desert. We covered it before, the ghost schools built in Afghanistan where people got millions of dollars for schools that never existed. That kind of shit.
Yes, it's like the corporate world has one playbook and the CIA has one. It's the same playbook. Every time we do one of these stories, it's the same. The corporate does the same shit. And then the CIA does the same thing when it's somebody got democratically elected. Somebody was going to socialize the resources. Boom, here comes a coup. Like every time.
Yep.
Every time.
Yep.
So not only do these guys create a fake company and basically steal $44 million and give themselves $9 million in discounted stocks. So they're like, it wasn't enough. The 44 million wasn't enough. They got $100 million from the federal government. Because of course, jobs, it's going to create jobs
for the Chinese folks that we didn't pay at all.
Right. The federal government offered to assist the railroad with a loan of $16,000 to $48,000 per mile of track, variable according to location, for a total of more than $60 million in all, and a land grant of $20 million, worth $50 to $100 million. The offer initially attracted no subscribers for additional financing as the conditions were financially daunting. So, this goes into the Railroad Acts. The Credit Mobile America was a deliberate facade. These two guys, Train and Durant, aimed to present to both the government and to the public. So because there was this, like, the government was offering these, there was a concern. Yeah, the government was offering these like tax stuff, and so there was a concern about like, oh, is this I don't know, does we want to spend this tax money? And there was this. So then these guys came up with this fake company. Well, we've got the solution. This company out of Canada wants to.
Right.
So
your video cut off, Graham.
Oh, your video cut off.
It's showing me that yours cut off.
No, I'm just being a jackass. I don't know why. This happened yesterday.
There we go.
Now you can see that.
This is a weird angle, though.
A mattress I'm not using. I don't know why they did that. It did that yesterday. I don't know why. The appearance, the reason they created this facade was because there was this, like, people were like, how are we going to pay for this railroad? And it became a big, like, political football. Are we going to spend this money and this and that? Right. So they created this facade company, Credit Mobilier, and it was both to present to the government and to the public the appearance that an independent corporate enterprise had been impartially chosen as the principal contractor and construction management firm for the project.
Listen, this company, Trains and Things Inc., they won a difficult round of competition to see who would get to build the trains. Trains and Things, just they came with the best bid. They really did. So,
and we oversaw the bidding process, so it's all above board. It's all above board. And this company, Credit Mobilier, was created to shield the company's shareholders and management from the common charge that they were using the construction phase of the project as opposed to the operating phase to generate profit, because the conspirators believed they could not expect conventional profits from the operation of the railroad. They created the sham company.
Did you spend a month building this part in a circle in the middle of Nebraska? It may, on the map, it looks like a giant circle. I will admit that. But what you don't understand is it's going up as it's circling. So it makes, there's progress being made. The circle, we had no choice but to circle. There is what happened.
It's, once you see it done, just let me once it's finished, it'll make sense. So we'll just keep building. So just keep writing checks and we'll just keep building. They created the sham company so they could charge the U.S. government extortionate fees and expenses during the construction phase. So that's it was
nice.
Yeah. So the directors of Union Pacific also engaged in stock fraud, circumventing requirements that they receive full payment for stock issued at par instead of paying Credit Mobilier in bank checks, which Credit Mobilier then used to purchase Union Pacific stock. So again, it's always just some like circular.
Right. It's a circle jerk of fraud.
And politicians are paid off to look the other way.
Right.
And this is just great. It's good stuff. And of course, American people get screwed over. So that's how the Transcontinental Railroad was done, Lee, through good old-fashioned capitalist scam, one percenters bilking money for their own filthy profits, not to make the world a better place, only for them and their maggot-ridden shithead children.
That's pretty much the motto of America. I think you just summed up. Think that's pretty much it.
This show will never run out of topics. Ever.
No, all you have to do is think of something America's done that sounded great, and then you look up that plus scandal.
That plus scandal. So some big event, that plus scandal, and then look up any country in the world, just about, and we've stuck our greedy paws in there in some capacity in the world.
Yeah. And I wanted to do, I'll still do something on this going forward. I don't know when, but I wanted to do like a list of the kind of the biggest whistleblowers that have died mysteriously in American history. And I started researching that, but the problem is there's too many of them, and B, like not a lot of great writing about them because none of the mainstream ever wants to cover it. And even in the case that they do cover it, like this famous nuclear whistleblower, I can't remember her first name, something Silkwood, like Karen Silkwood. Even when the case they do cover it, they won't cover the death. So like this woman was a whistleblower in the nuclear industry. Maybe I'll cover her in more detail later, but and then she's like having a big impact being this whistleblower, and she's radioactive because they're, releasing radioactive material into their own employees. So she's literally radioactive and she's a whistleblower on the nuclear industry. And then her car suddenly goes off the road and she dies. And there's a lot of that kind of shit. And the mainstream media, in the rare case that they even cover the whistleblower, don't want to cover the death because they don't want to say it had anything to do with something, we don't.
Dude, even in, so Jeremy Renner played Gary Webb, right? The famous guy that linked the Iran-Contra stuff, right? And showed how he was smeared and attacked and everything, which I thought was a pretty good, like, wow, they showed how they attacked him. And and then the end of the movie, the movie's over, credits roll, and they just put Gary Webb
killed himself.
And I'm like, the police report is he shot himself in the head twice. Nobody asked any questions on that. Usually you got off 2 rounds into your own head. Like nobody thought that's weird. The guy that was pissing off the CIA was able to go bam, bam into his head twice. Like
Well, Graham, I think you should stop giving away because I think this is going to be your segment next week. So.
Government secrets feature segment. I forgot to do the beginning of the whole show. Government secrets.
We'll just do that now, and we'll add that in later in post. Because we've got a big production team on this show that makes all this money, and we'll have them put it in later. So.
Right. When I'm editing this in iTunes and then posting it on Libsyn on Monday, we're going to try to remember to put this in at the beginning of the show, but probably won't. Second segment.
Nailed it. So, all right, folks. So you possibly just got a trailer for what you might learn about next week. But let's now get to the bombing of Cambodia.
Hey.
So, as you know, as most people know, this was part of the Vietnam War, which perhaps is named poorly considering we bombed Vietnam, Laos, and Cambodia. But and obviously, with something like with Cambodia or Vietnam, you could do 5 hours on everything that went down that should be talked about more. But a lot of people don't know the sheer number and amount of bombing that went on across Cambodia by the American military. And so this is I'm going to read from a Yale article. This is on the Yale website, and anyway, you'll see that these numbers only came out 20 years ago. But okay, so in the fall of 2000, 25 years after the end of the war in Indochina, Bill Clinton became the first president since Richard Nixon to visit Vietnam. While the media coverage of the trip was dominated by talk of some 2,000 U.S. soldiers still classified as missing in action, a small act of great historical importance went almost unnoticed. As a humanitarian gesture, Clinton released extensive Air Force data on all American bombings of Indochina between 1964 and 1975. It was recorded using a groundbreaking technology and had extensive information on the sorties conducted over Vietnam, Laos, and Cambodia. Clinton's gift was intended to assist Cambodia in the search for unexploded ordnance left behind during the carpet bombing of the region, littering the countryside. Like to this day, often submerged under farmland, these ordnance remain a significant humanitarian concern. The ordnance have maimed and killed farmers and rendered valuable land all but unusable. Development, I mean, to this day, you just can't hike in large swaths of Cambodia without thinking you might step on an ordinance and die. Development and demining organizations have put the Air Force data to good use over the past 6 years. So I guess this was written in...
Somebody is trying to organize a Tough Mudder through there just because they think it'd be extreme.
It's a bunch of fucking middle-class SUV driving motherfuckers who are like, you do the best one, Cambodia, Tough Mudder, 5 miles under razor wire, 2 guys blown to pieces.
And they're all like kind of mid-level people at some startup, Silicon Valley, just fucking man bun shitheads running through. No, it'll be awesome. No, it won't. Just GoPros on their heads running through this minefield Tough Mudder.
Dude, you know how we don't stand for anything and have anything of any value in our lives? Well, you can feel like you do with the adrenaline rush of a Tough Mudder in Cambodian jungles.
Oh, God, we're just loving our white privilege and we're just going to Tough Mudder it so we can say we've actually struggled with something.
Yeah. So
keeps doing that.
So the database, which is actually still incomplete. So the numbers I'm about to give you are actually underestimates. But they revealed that from October 4th, 1965 to August 15th, 1973, the United States dropped far more ordnance on Cambodia than was previously believed. 2,756,941 tons worth were dropped on Cambodia in 230,516 sorties. Those are flights by an aircraft on 113,716 sites. Just over 10% of this bombing was completely indiscriminate, with 3,580 of the sites listed as having unknown targets and another 8,238 sites having no target listed at all. The database also shows that the bombing began 4 years earlier than widely believed, not under Nixon, but under Lyndon Johnson. This is also why they had to kill JFK. The impact of this bombing, the subject of much debate for the past 3 decades. Well, I'll get into that in a second, but I mean, truly unbelievable amounts of bombs dropped on this country. And where's that other number I was going to, but, oh, here it is. To put that in perspective, okay, so I said that 2,756,000 tons were dropped on Cambodia. To put that into perspective, the entire Allies during World War II dropped just over 2 million tons of bombs during all of World War II. And this was 2,756,000 tons on the country of Cambodia.
Which is like, probably what, half the size of France or something like that?
Small, yeah, I have no idea, but it's just a breathtaking amount of obliteration. And how many of these people, even the ones they were trying to hit, were fucking, guys with a gun in a jungle. It wasn't like some
right. Yeah, I know.
Russian military.
I know. There wasn't some tank factory or something like that in Cambodia. It was literally just like, exactly, that hut, they might have 10 guns. Well, let's drop 50,000 bombs on it. It's and this is like, I'm so glad we're now, that's back in the past, that now, like all the bombing we've done in the Middle East, we don't reduce the amount of bombs or casualties. No, and in the last 20 years, we're always honest about that. It's not like 90% of our casualties of bombs dropped in the global war on terror were, quote, unintended targets, which is just a polite way of we've murdered a bunch of innocent people for no good goddamn reason other than profit. But Obama, don't we long for him to be our president again, where we could be lulled into sleep with nice speeches and not have to wake up to the harsh reality that America is the evil empire.
Final year Obama was in office, the Pentagon dropped 26,000 bombs. first year.
26,171 bombs.
Yeah, well done. And under Trump, it went up to 40,000, but still, both of those are tens of thousands of war crimes of horrific, murder of innocent civilians. It's fucking insanity.
Yes. The unintended target thing is like one of the most offensive things I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah.
Unintended targets. It's like, could we use that in anywhere else? Could you say that, to your wife? Sorry, look, honey, when I slept with that other woman, I wasn't cheating on you. It was an unintended target.
She was collateral damage. Yeah.
She was collateral damage. I wanted to stick my penis in you, but I slipped and I hit the wrong vagina. So it was really, I don't know what happened. I've used that a lot with girlfriends and they always buy it.
Yeah. The unintended target, or another one they use is secondary target. Well, there's no such thing as a second. If you didn't hit your target, then the other thing is not the target. There's no such thing as a secondary target.
No, that's a mistake. That's an error. That's a miss. It's not like, you don't see NFL teams don't say when a quarterback throws an interception, he goes, well, that was my secondary target.
He hit the secondary target. The guy running the other direction.
Yeah, the guy in the opposite, the different color jersey, that was my secondary target.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. I just wrote a new joke for my act, but that's great. So
I like it. I'm a fan. I did my unintended. I've already done my unintended target bit, and it had nothing to do with football. So that's all yours.
What was yours? What was your unintended target bit?
I think mainly just that first part I just said, which was it's not a target unless you target it.
Oh,
if you haven't targeted, it's fucking. I don't even remember the rest of it. That was basically it. I think it was part of a larger bit. It was funny, okay? It was fucking funny. God damn it! Why do you have to question every fucking joke I tell?
No, I just wrote this new joke, and I want to make sure I'm not like touching on something on the way you did it.
So then they get into the impact of the bombing, which I never heard this. This is fascinating. The impact of this bombing, the subject of much debate for the past 3 decades, is now clearer than ever. Civilian casualties in Cambodia drove an enraged populace into the arms of an insurgency that had enjoyed relatively little support until the bombing began, setting in motion the expansion of the Vietnam War deeper into Cambodia, a coup d'etat in 1970, the rapid rise of the Khmer Rouge, and ultimately the Cambodian genocide. So essentially, without us attempting to genocide Cambodia, you wouldn't have had the Khmer Rouge genocide.
How many how many times has this happened? I mean, how many times have we like made it so awful that people go, well, I guess we got to line up with these psychos, and then we foster the psychos, it's just like, and the Khmer Rouge, man, oh God, but that's a whole, I don't know, that's a government secret, but just a history lesson. That fucking camera keeps going out. I don't know why this keeps happening, but
you can also, while you're doing that, you can also put the bombing data map on the screen.
Like the other thing too,
every red dot is a bombing. Yeah.
Jesus. Is like when people always want to do like armed insurrection revolution stuff, I'm always like, okay, just know Pol Pot was educated in Europe. He was went to Catholic schools and was educated in the West, and then came up with really great ways to torture and kill his own people. So just that was part of the.
It doesn't always go well. Yeah.
So just to be aware of that. This map we could also use for all of the current forest fires in California in May, the earliest fire season ever. But sorry, we're talking about Cambodia.
But so, dude, are you willing to go off in the craziest tangent? Because I just noticed some of the comments in the comment thread. Are you up for a 2-minute tangent, Graham?
I don't know. We don't usually do those on this show, but I guess, I mean, if that's...
It's kind of a government secret, a little bit.
Yes, I love tangents. Let's go. What do you got for me?
You're actually going to like how I tie this into government secrets. So I don't quite know why, but for some reason there's become an argument in the comment thread about there's a shortage of baby formula in America right now. And some ignorant people have been saying, listen, motherfuckers, it's called breast milk. Just use it. Well, a lot of mothers can't produce enough breast milk. So it's a fucked up thing to just guilt them and shame them and say, oh, you fucking idiots, just use your goddamn breasts. So that's a bullshit idea. But then on top of that, it's illegal to, if you do want to have breast milk and share it amongst a community, which used to be quite common, it's illegal to sell breast milk between
What?
people. Yeah. So therefore, the only way to get breast milk is to have like Facebook groups where it's donated for free between people, which means that there's very little sharing of breast milk and in America. And in a sense, it's an anti-woman kind of like, it honestly, it like goes back to this patriarchy idea of we don't want women consorting and like using their witchcraft together. And also it helps the formula industry for them to say, oh, your breasts aren't good enough, so use our formula. So it like is this whole fucked up thing that causes an impressive amount of damage and is like fucking ridiculous that people can't, if they want to, have a community where there's like sharing of breast milk and things. If someone can't produce enough, this would be like if you had a community that actually cared about each other and cared for each other. So anyway.
Well, this right there, America cannot have a community for anything. We can't, I mean, imagine it's like, oh, you can't share breast milk. Well, then you guys all might like start growing food and share with each other and not buy our food. And you all might start having ideas on, oh, maybe we need, we need better unions. That we can't have that. I mean, and if we can profit off,
there's no ads for community gardens. So why don't you get together and grow food together? Yeah.
No, get together and talk. No, just stay on social media where we can divide you and get you fighting with each other very, very easily. And you're suckers and you'll fall for it. And in the meantime, of course, there's always just a filthy capitalist angle to this. Yep. Like the filthy, well, we need them. Well, this way, if we get them fighting with each other and we outlaw sharing breast milk, well, then they'll buy more formula. Boom, done. Sign it. Make it into a law. Like it's motherfucker. What's with
and I'm sure a lot of people know the story of. There's also examples in especially Nestle and some others where they got the global South to believe that breast milk was the only. Formula was the only effective kind of milk, that your kid would only be healthy on formula. But then a lot of these parents couldn't afford to keep buying formula. So then, the way the human body works, your breasts dry up if you don't actually breastfeed. So they would dry up. They didn't have the money for the formula. Kids fucking got sick and died like in the tens of thousands. And this is like it was a big scandal for like Nestle and stuff. And they knew that would happen, and they fucking told people, oh no, formula is the only way to take care of a kid. And again, I'm not saying formula doesn't have its place, because as I was saying earlier, many women can't produce enough breast milk. So formula has a place, but to tell people don't feed your kid from your breast, always use formula, that's a whole other fucked up level. Anyway.
Of course, we take this natural thing that's supposed to happen, women breastfeeding their babies. And okay, some women, for whatever reason, their body doesn't produce enough. So, I'll chip in and help out because it takes a village. Nope. Outlaw it, make money, and murder people in the process. Fuck yeah. America, you capitalist bag of shit. Like, goddamn, this country. There's no stone unturned that they can't profit from and ruin people's lives with lies. There's none. There's no like baby formula. They've figured out a way to ruin breastfeeding and baby formula and profit from it and lie to people so that their kids die. Like they can't help themselves. There's no area of human life, human existence that they haven't tried to manipulate, control, and profit from. Not one. There's not one.
Yeah. And that's that's the definition of capitalism, is profit over all else. Anything that's done purely for health and happiness outside of profit is kind of like a happy accident or a little a little side effect or the exception that proves the rule. It's never the way the system is meant to operate. So to get back to a happier subject of Cambodia.
Yes. Yes.
I just want to read this. So it's an extended article on it. I just want to read this opening part, partially because it has some operation names that I know you'll like. So on December 9th, 1970, U.S. President Richard Nixon telephoned his national security advisor, Henry Kissinger, to discuss the ongoing bombing of Cambodia. This sideshow to the war in Vietnam, begun in 1965 under Johnson, had already seen 475,000 tons of ordnance dropped on Cambodia, which had been a neutral kingdom until 9 months before the phone call when pro-U.S. General Lon Nol seized power. The first intense series of bombings, the Menu Campaign, it was called, on targets in Cambodia's border regions, labeled breakfast, lunch, supper, dinner, dessert, and snack by the American commanders, had concluded in May. Those were the names of the bombing campaigns.
I remember, yeah, we cross-covered this in another thing, in another government secret.
Okay. Nixon was facing growing congressional opposition to his Indochina policy. And anyway, he calls up Kissinger, basically says, bomb anything that moves. He says they have to go in there, and I mean really go in. I want everything that can fly to go in there and crack the hell out of them. There's no limitation on mileage, and there's no limitation on budget. Is that clear? And this is the opposite. Shocking, I know, but this is the opposite of what Nixon told the American people he was doing. He told the American people, we're not going further than this far into Cambodia, etc.
Yeah. Yeah. And Nixon did ran on I'm pulling us out of Vietnam campaign, of course.
So there you go, man. We obliterated Cambodia and created a genocide there.
Oh, it's so great what America has done for the world.
I think so.
I think it's pretty great. But you know, at least a fake bank was created to bilk people out of money to build a railroad. You know what I mean? So I think like there's always a silver lining.
You know, every time I ride on that railroad, it was a good time.
And seriously, folks, don't forget to sign up for Lee and I's Cambodian Tough Mudder. We're going to be doing that in the fall.
The Iron Man, we're thinking might be next.
Cambodian Ironman, and there'll be some craft brews there. It'll be really awesome, and a bunch of tech companies are going to sponsor it. It's going to be awesome.
It's really, I kind of like the idea. It's a way to get white Kens and Karens to demine the Cambodian countryside.
Well, that I'm down with. If we just get just some of the worst people to just go run through there to demine it, I'm down with that. Like, yeah, but if everybody in Congress and the Senate and all of their kids, they just go run through it. That honestly, that's what we should do. Like all of the CEOs of all the bomb makers and all of their children, they need to go run through the Cambodian mountainside.
It's like a reverse Hunger Games. The oligarchy is forced to slide on their stomachs through the Cambodian countryside.
And if you make it, we'll give you a minimum wage job at like a Wendy's in like Omaha. That's what we're going to give you. If you make it.
If you make it, you win your life. We'll
yes.
Get your life back.
We've already seized your assets, so you're not going back to that life, but you'll just be alive, and it'll be great. And may the odds forever be in your favor.
So, folks, we are headed over to do some exclusive content at patreon.com/governmentsecrets. And if you sign up over there at any level, you get the exclusive content every week.
Yes. So this is our first time figuring out this live stream through Patreon. So please be patient.
We promise you Graham's camera will only cut off 4 times.
Only cut off 4 times, inexplicably cut off 4 times. And if the technology, if it's frustrating, I'll be totally level-headed the whole time. Hey, there it is. Look at that. Just went off again for no
good. There it is, right there. Can I ask why do you even have a camera angle of the mattress in your apartment?
None of your business, really. I just kind of, I don't think it's any of your business.
Why
What
would you even ask that, Lee?
what I do in this studio on my time is my business, Lee. And if I want to have people sleeping on a vampire style mattress vertically, that's what they get to do.
I rent part of my apartment to vampires, actually.
I have to subsidize it. Since I've been demonetized by YouTube, I have to do a vampire. No, that's just, there's two inputs into StreamYard. That's from my laptop. So my laptop just points way up over my shoulder for no reason. And then this is my nice camera, obviously.
I assumed you had an intern with a GoPro on his head pointed in that direction.
Yeah, and he's never allowed to move. And then I make him sleep standing up in the corner.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, folks. Rob Placone and I are going to be performing in the Pacific Northwest July 28th in Portland, July 29th, Seattle, and July 30th in Vancouver, Canada. Go to grandma.com for tickets. I've also got some shows if you are in.
While you're up in Canada, can you ask them about this train company they have there?
Yeah, and you can buy shares in the Credit Mobilier Train Company. So just send that to me in a check, and I will make sure those stock shares get to you quickly.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're going to start the new Transcontinental Railroad stock company tier on Government Secrets. So it's just for 10 grand, you guys get to own some railroad stock.
There you go.
All right, folks. So we'll go on over to patreon.com/government secrets. We should be up and running. I want to say shortly. I don't want to say of time because hopefully I can figure this out.
Let's hope the next 5 minutes.
I love that. I love your optimism. We'll be up and running in the next 5 minutes. Lee Camp. All right. Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Kate, our moderator, and everybody. Hit the like button, and we'll see you over at
later. And everyone needs to hear this. Graham, if you can't find me or whatever, text me and
yeah,
text me on Signal, and we'll figure this out.
Yes, we'll figure this out. I will be in contact with you, Lee. I will not disappear. And if you want to come sleeping, standing up in my room, let me know. We'll get you that squared away. All right, everybody. Thank you for watching Government Secrets, episode 83.